Well, good day and welcome back to the Flying Doctor channel. And today we're testing out a new airline for the channel, Frontier Airlines. You might know them as an all Airbus ultra low-cost carrier, but did you know that they've actually operated the 737 and they retired it back in 2005? And there was also another airline called Frontier Airlines? If you didn't, or you're interested, I encourage you to sit back, relax, get ready for another flight review. So we kind of skipped the check-in process on today's video, but that's for a legitimate reason, because you have to pay money to use an actual check-in agent when you arrive at the airport to check in. And I wasn't about to do that. So I ended up downloading the app and entering my confirmation number and last name, and that's how I got my boarding pass. It's probably only $5–10 to use a check-in agent, but isn't that supposed to be included in the cost of the ticket? Has the airline done the math and calculated out that the price that they list is the actual cost per passenger? I don't know, but it's one of the interesting circumstances that you'll run into if you end up flying an ultra low-cost carrier. DFW is quite a large airport, and carriers arrive and depart from all over the world. There's a really cool train connecting each of the different terminals, so if you're an av geek, train geek, or just want some different scenery, take a ride on the Skyline. Alright, we made it. Checking out the Centurion Lounge in Dallas-Fort Worth. It was a really busy afternoon at the lounge, and I had to join a virtual queue before I was allowed in. It took roughly 25 minutes before I was allowed in, and I went straight for the food. After grabbing some chicken and a nice spinach salad, I refueled and was ready to get going again. A pop-up ice cream stand caught my attention, and I figured I had to give it a try. It wasn't the best. I had some time to kill, and rather than sit in the lounge and people watch, I decided to explore a bit of the terminal. Coca-Cola had some heavy investments at DFW. Did you know that Coca-Cola is based in Atlanta, today's destination? So since we're in Texas, I thought it would be okay for me to bring up a topic that is much more closely related to what I do on a daily basis, and that's infectious diseases. Right now in West Texas, at least at the time of recording, there's an outbreak of measles. And what's upsetting to me and others who work in my field about this circumstance is that measles is a very preventable disease. Even though it's extremely contagious, vaccination remains a very safe and effective way to prevent measles. Now, we can't 100% eliminate any sort of transmission of measles within the US because it's endemic in other parts of the world, and for a very limited part of the population, they're immunocompromised and vaccinations is not an option. But for those who are healthy and of age, vaccination remains the #1 way to prevent becoming infected and succumbing to measles, which can be a very, very challenging virus to deal with and is one of the most infectious viruses on the planet. So once this video is released, I really hope that the situation is under control, but as it stands right now, it's really not looking good. And the added fact that so many of the children who have become infected with measles are unvaccinated proves the point, at least to me in a way, that this entire situation was almost entirely avoidable. So one of the things that I kind of like about Frontier Airlines is that, like JetBlue, they actually have a unique name for each one of their aircraft. But unlike JetBlue, I think Frontiers have a little bit more personality. And what I mean by that is they go a little more into detail than what JetBlue does. They actually paint the tail of their aircraft a unique animal. Tonight we're going to be flying on an A320 called Baja the Whale Shark.
Or the old one. The old one should be okay.
Here goes nothing. Let's see what the Frontier experience is like. Frontier aircraft are in an all-economy layout, sort of. Like intra-European business class, the middle seats in the first few rows of a Frontier aircraft are blocked. In total, 186 seats are installed in Frontier's A320neo, with most seats offering a whopping 28 inches of pitch. You could pay the extra cash to sit up front or the exit row, and you'd get 32 or 35 inches respectively. But I wanted the true Frontier experience and opted for a seat in the back. My first impressions on board were that the interior looked quite sleek and uniform. Okay, I'm on the aircraft and almost the last row. Got 30 out of 31, 30 alpha. Before we continue, I just want to point out that if you are booked into row 31 thinking you have a window seat, there's no window there. And honestly, initial impressions, this looks like some prison-issued shit. I mean, the tray tables are very sturdy, but minimalist, as well as the seats. There's obviously no in-flight entertainment screens. I don't even know if they have entertainment on board, but Frontier was actually one of the first airlines to introduce DirecTV on board back in the early 2000s, and they were also the first airline to introduce the A318. That kind of initiated the beginning of their all Airbus fleet. But the cabin is cool, it's clean inside, it's a relatively new aircraft, so I would expect it to be relatively good looking, but then again, a lot of the videos you see online of crazy passengers are on flights operated by ultra low cost carriers, so you never know. Hopefully there's no angry or disgruntled passengers on tonight's flight. Either way though, it's a quick hop over to Atlanta, only an hour and a half. Hopefully we'll be getting off the ground before the sun sets so we can get a nice view out the window, but if not, it is what it is. We'll enjoy the flight anyways. Again, legroom is tight, so I'm confined to this small area for an hour and a half, a little more than that, but I'll manage.
The bank of doors will close.
While we taxi to the active runway, allow me to suggest a unique compilation of videos I stumbled upon related to today's flight review. Frontier had a very big advertising campaign in the early 2000s, and I've found them to be quite funny. The animal on the tail of each aircraft come alive in these advertisements and end up talking to one another. They're silly, but entertaining nonetheless.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff.
That was like a round of musical chairs. The flight attendants kept asking for people to sit in their assigned seat, the seat that is put on their boarding pass. I don't really understand the logic behind everyone trying to sit where they want before everyone is in the plane, because it's going to cause chaos. If you're thinking of doing that in the future, I strongly encourage you from first sit in your assigned seat, wait for the boarding doors to be closed, then ask a flight attendant if you can be reseated. I'm sure they would be more than happy and willing to help you if there's room on the flight. That being said, quick flight. Let's check out the menu. There is a menu on board actually. Seems like everything is for purchase, but that would make sense based off of the ultra low cost carrier model. I am kind of curious to know if the loo has a price tag on it. That might be pushing the envelope a little bit. Well, I didn't check out the lav on this flight. Quite sure that toilet paper would be free. There's a nice menu inside of the seatback pocket, highlighting, first of all, Frontier's commitment to bringing awareness to various animal species. Inside, you will find all the stereotypical snacks and drinks available for purchase during your flight. I did appreciate the safety card as well. It reminded me of what you would see in carriers outside of the US. As you watch me struggle to hold the camera in one hand and display the literature using the other, you might also notice the legroom, or lack thereof.
Cramming as many humans into a confined space as possible inevitably raises the internal temperature. Thankfully, Frontier opted to purchase the personal air vent package from Airbus when placing orders for new aircraft. The air vents are paired with a reading light and 2 FA call buttons. Do you notice the 1.5-inch space between the border of the seat and the backing? That's the space other carriers might use to house a larger tray table, in-flight entertainment, or additional built-in pocket or stand for personal devices.
We have begun the initial descent into Atlanta, and it's been an uneventful flight. No chaos in the cabin, that's good, but I will tell you, this is the most uncomfortable seat that I have ever flown on. Actually, I take that back. Last year I had the opportunity to fly on about 100-year-old Ford TriStar, but besides that, in terms of modern aircraft, this is probably the most uncomfortable seat that I have flown on. The padding that exists is just the pleather cover that is on the seat. There's really no padding. There's no ability to recline. Now, that's not that big of a deal for me, especially since I oftentimes choose not to recline because I know what a pain in the butt it is for someone to recline straight into my face, but, well, it is what it is. Anyways, you need to set your expectations. My expectations were very low. I've seen videos of disappointed, angry, chaotic, disgruntled passengers on these aircraft before, and I knew that coming into this, I would have to pay for absolutely everything in addition to the ticket. So, that being said, if you know what to expect when booking with Frontier, then I think you'll be okay. But if you're an infrequent traveler and you're expecting to receive peanuts, pretzels, and a soft drink on your Frontier flight, reassess your circumstances and see if you could maybe fly on a standard carrier. Otherwise, definitely look at their website, look at some reviews, and readjust your expectations.
As we make our way to ATL, let's talk cost. Many people will choose to fly airlines like Frontier because of the price point, and I've made the argument in some of my other reviews that ultimately, the price you pay at the end of the day tends to be very similar to what you'd pay flying a standard carrier. The basic fare cost, what you'd see listed on your favorite booking site, was $42. Those other prices listed at the top are options for those who are part of Frontier's Discount Den membership or their Unlimited Go Wild All-You-Can-Fly Pass. The $42 is not the price I paid, and it's likely not the price that you would pay either, because most people travel on flights with more than just a small personal item. Immediately after selecting your ticket, you have the option to choose between one of 3 bundles. I took the cheap route and went for the economy bundle, which ensured my backpack wouldn't cost $60 at the gate. So how much did this flight cost? $71, which made the flight 10 cents per mile. After slamming onto the runway, we were skyborne again with full takeoff power. This was the second flight I've been on with any type of go-around, and knowing I fly more often than most people, I think it's important to point out that this is a routine procedure. Aviation is hyper-focused on safety, and oftentimes, one minor unplanned event can upend a planned procedure. Rather than continuing with the landing, I assume the pilot in control recognized the unstable approach and chose to reject the landing. It was a gusty night, and rapid shifts in wind direction or speed that may have influenced this landing could have subsequent effects should the pilot continue with the landing. We rejoined the approach pattern and were lined up again, this time smoothly touching down.
On behalf of Frontier Airlines flight crew, welcome to Atlanta. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened toward part indicating the fasten seatbelt signs have turned off. Cell phones may now be used, however laptop computers and other large electronics must remain closed. Once we arrive at the gate, please use caution to open the overhead bins to prevent injuries as items may have shifted.
Oh, we survived. And I think this is one of the longest, if not the longest, jet bridges in Atlanta. It just keeps going and going and going. Okay, well, that was Frontier Airlines. It's probably going to be one and done for me, but you just need to set your expectations prior to flying, especially with a low-cost or ultra low-cost carrier. Know what you're paying for, know what you don't get. Anything you expect to get, you're probably not going to get. Either way, the ultimate goal of an airline is to deliver the passengers to their final destination, and Frontier achieved that tonight. So yeah, that's about it for me for Frontier. Time to get some sleep, getting a bit tired. If you enjoyed any part of this video, I encourage you to subscribe, hit the like button, and as always, thanks for watching. See ya.